Hi, everyone. I am going to share my screen and we are going to get started. All right, so welcome to our next webinar. Continued on with our ENFOS Expert series. Today we are talking about employee picks, right? So these are picks that, I reached out to the ENFOS staff and I said, we've got this webinar coming up. I want to know from you, what do you love? What functionality do you love? Do you find really useful and really valuable? And I was really lucky, everyone engaged a lot. They gave so many really fantastic tips. So today's going to be a little different than some of our previous webinars. We still will absolutely have some training built in, but it's more like a discussion, right? And we're going to kind of bounce around different modules. We're going to talk about some items that are in the administration module, some items that are in reporting, some that are in finance and site. And we've got items from all different levels of the ENFOS company, right? People from every department kind of came to me with different suggestions and ideas. So, all of these items, it makes my teams and all of ENFOS's teams jobs easier supporting you. And these items are going to make your job easier as well. There are definitely a few shortcuts and a few surprises in here as well. I know you're going to find something today that you haven't used in the past. So let's get going. I am Torrie Behrens. I am your speaker again on this webinar, as I always am. And Andrea Green is going to be helping me out today with questions at the end. So, in our webinar program, there's a little orange arrow on the panel, and you can minimize that, you can move that, but use that orange arrow to move around that little box. You are in listen only mode, so be sure to use the chat section to send over any questions. And you'll also see that we have a handout today. So the handout goes over our topics. It's really the summary of what we're going to talk about. I left it in a Word document form for you. So you can take notes along the way. You can share it. Feel free to take that and use it. Yeah, it'll summarize everything we're going to talk about today. Otherwise, we're recording this session. It will be available on the new tab page within ENFOS with all of our other webinars. And that'll be available, after we do this webinar session. So as I mentioned, we're going to go in the ENFOS system today. We are going to go between different modules, and then we are going to hop back in and talk about questions. All right, so we will end it there and we'll go into ENFOS. So we are in our ENFOS system, and we are going to start in our admin module. And a lot of the suggestions that I had received are specific to, kind of the smaller or easier items, but they're really, really valuable. So one of the first items we saw was the hierarchy levels. And anytime we do an implementation in ENFOS, we talk about the hierarchy levels. And a lot of our clients, these are set, right? We set these, we don't change them. But I thought a great place to start today was to talk about all these levels. In ENFOS, we have up to 20 levels, and we can use those levels that see fit for your hierarchy. And what I'm sharing is specific to this hierarchy and this system, but what in your system, it might be a little different. We have spaces in the hierarchy, and this helps when you may want to reconfigure your hierarchy. Right, so we definitely have clients that change their hierarchy and change around what they're doing, and the hierarchy branches and levels can help support that. We can also skip levels. So, I have my level 13 here is state. if I was going to a different country, maybe a country that used province instead, I could skip the state level and go maybe to an entirely different level for province. So there can be breaks in the branches as well. So it's really strong functionality. It's used to help store settings, configurations, as well as reporting. What is always required is the level 17, that's your site level, and the level 20, which is your project or your AOC level. The hierarchy levels, right, they're really valuable. If your hierarchy today is not working right for you, that's when you'd contact ENFOS, and we can help you, edit that hierarchy, make it work for you, and make those changes. Okay, let's keep talking about the hierarchy a bit. So there's a button up here on the top of the page, and it looks like two little page copies, and it says copy hierarchy path. And if you're not using this button already, it's a super simple button. It's very easy. But what you can do is use that hierarchy path button. We'll copy this. We'll go here. And you just click copy. And then you go into, whatever other program you're using, and you paste in that hierarchy path. It's super simple. It helps with support. It helps with writing emails. It helps with navigation. You can paste in that full path here in your search everything bar. It's so easy. It's on every page, and it's super simple. So that copy hierarchy path, great tool for you, no matter where you are in the system. You can see there's a theme, right? Our team is really kind of loving these strong tools that we have in our administration module. And the next thing we're going to talk about is our left panel here. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is this gray arrow in the middle of the page. And what this does is it toggles the left panel closed. And when I click that left panel goes away. And all of a sudden, I can see a lot more information on my screen. So, if I go to my proposal page and I look at this is all fictitious data, I can see all of my columns on my page. Whereas if my left panel is open, it crunches up my columns a bit more. I might have to use my horizontal scroll bar. So by closing my left panel, I get more screen space, and I'm able to see more on my screen, even if you're on your little laptop screen like I am right now. So super simple, closing that left panel if you're not using it. Super search. Now, we know we can use the super search to search our sites and our projects, but we can use it to search a lot more. And I always like to remind people of this. And what I'm seeing in my results are proposal, purchase order, invoice, project ID numbers. You can search all of these numbers in that search everything and get a lot of different results. So it's great for using more than just searching your site and your project. All right. Let's talk about our 3 tabs down here and our advanced search. In our reporting webinar, and you can see those previous webinars on the new tab page under the videos. But in our reporting webinar, this one as well as our reporting one from 2018, we talk a lot about advanced search. And I love this page, this advanced search page. I think it's the simplest and most straightforward searching and kind of quick reporting you can do in the system. We have a subgroup here for each one of our financial submodules, and we've got advanced search for a lot of different areas in ENFOS. It has a lot of really powerful tools. We talk about it a lot more in reporting, but my advice here is use this advanced search. If you want to find a plan, you can look at it, maybe at this hierarchy in your branch where you are and below. You could select statuses. The information on the advanced search page, it's going to be different, depending on what you select and which one of your advanced search options you select. It's all on one page, which I love. all of your results are there and they're ready to go. We also have a download on this page. This downloads into a CSV file. So you can, very quickly, very easily get your report output. I'm looking at planning reports. Maybe you toggle to the invoice screen and you filter to see all your invoices paid last month. You can download that and then you can compare it, to what you were expecting to get paid for. There's also actions on this page. And this item, I don't have a lot of actions, but maybe you want to do a search on all of your proposals that have been rejected. You can do a search on this action items page, on this advanced search page. And then in the lower section, you see those actions, right? So that's when you can go back in and edit your proposal or maybe resubmit that proposal for the next review and approval. So it works really great for you and your users to help query information kind of very quickly, very easy, and then also take action on those transactions. You can also see, of course, we've got links here. So I can click on these links and those will open in a new tab. And it's a great way for navigation. So, right, advanced search, it gives you so much. It gives you reporting and detailed outputs. It lets you take actions. It lets you download from the page, and it helps you with navigation. So there's 5 different things that our advanced search page can help the users with, just, without even talking about the content or the search options on those pages. So really, if you're thinking about a report or how can I get this data outside of ENFOS, I would say start on the advanced search page. If what you see on the advanced search page isn't enough, maybe you need more information. Let this page reload here. If you need more columns and more details, that's when you migrate over to the reporting module. You can get all the same information out, but in the reporting module, there's a lot more robust reporting output, more columns, and more options for filtering the data. It gives you a bit more tools there. So use your advanced search in your left panel. It's a great way to pull different tools. All right, bookmarks. Another item, if you're not using this today, bookmarks are so simple, they're so easy, and I think they provide so much value. You can bookmark on a lot of different pages in ENFOS, and let me show you one. You can use bookmarks to click the link, and it takes you right to that page. Now you can see I have a gold star in the top of my page, right below my blue hierarchy bar. And when you click that blue star, that's going to favorite your page, and it's going to show up in your left panel. Now, I used my bookmark in my planning page. So here I am at my St. Paul project, and instead of going to the site summary, it takes me straight to the planning page. And it's a really quick way to save myself a few clicks or typing out my site or project name. Just as I mentioned before, it can be different sections, right? So you can bookmark a specific invoice, right? Maybe you have an invoice, again, all fictitious data here. Maybe you have an invoice that you're waiting to get approved and you're really kind of watching it. You can use that bookmark tool to take you straight to that invoice to save you a few clicks on navigation. I know for our users that use bookmarks well, they're bookmarking all their sites and projects that are in their portfolio. And this is a way that they do their primary navigation, that they can click these links and get taken directly to those transactions. You can see my planning page was at St. Paul, but my invoice, when I clicked on this invoice, it's at a different project. It's at Springfield. So it'll take you to your different nodes or wherever that bookmark is. Plus, so simple. Let me show you what it looks like without being clicked. Here I am in the project summary information. And you can see I've got a star still on this page, but the star is not highlighted. The first thing we need to do is bookmark the page. And let's do it. Let's bookmark it. And now it's added to my list in a different subsection. All right, let's keep moving through this. Browsing history. So this is like bookmarks, but instead of actually bookmarking it, ENFOS automatically records your browsing history. Now you can see if I open my site section under my browsing history, it shows the recent sites I've been at and the different pages within ENFOS where I did that clicking. So, sometimes for myself, I'm in the system and I'm navigating between a couple projects. Maybe I log out and I do something else and I come back in and I try to remember where I was working. This browsing history really helps with that. It shows me where I was most recently. And what else is true is that you're at a lot of these same projects. So you can use these links as navigation. You can go to your browsing history. If you need to go back to Montgomery to continue on with your planning work, you can click that link and it takes you there right away. Now, my sites and projects are, very easy names. You might recognize already. They're US capitals here in our test system. But I know many of you have more complicated site and project names, and some are even just full numeric codes. So it's really great to have these kind of bookmarked and already there. Saves you sometimes having to look up all those names. All right, my last item in my left panel is my activity calendar. And if you're using the activity module in ENFOS, what's great about this activity calendar is it summarizes all the activities that are assigned to you. And you can see it's showing me for the month of June what I have, what my activities are. And I only have one, and I've got this webinar. That's my only activity. Just as what we've seen on the other tabs, this is a link and it takes me directly to my webinar information. It shows me who's in here, right? So both George and John are going to see this activity under their activity tab as well. And I've got some actions here, right? I can view the details in more in depth. I can edit this information, I can export it, or even delete it if I wanted to. So again, this left panel really making your navigation and your work all kind of straightforward, easy, quick navigation tools. We're going to stay in the admin section for a little bit longer. There's a couple more items that the ENFOS team wanted to share with everyone, and make sure that everyone was aware of them. I'm going to go over to my account, and the second option under my account is community documents. And this community documents is a unique permission row for my admins. It's unique permission row. So you can control who has this, but what we see most frequently is that this is a system-wide document repository, and it allows the team members who have access, right, to add in folders and documents that are available for all ENFOS users. Now you can see here, this is some examples of what we see from our clients, how they use this section. We might have our health and safety moments stored here, or our standard operating procedures, or our training documents, workflows and diagrams, right? All of these folders can have one or many sub documents below it, and we can use those to have available for all the users so they can see what's in the system. It's all in one place. All the hard work that you're doing to build out these training documents or SOPs, they can all be stored in a single location. So it's really valuable. I would say to my owners of ENFOS, my client owners and the admins, think about how you can use this community documents folder section to store and have files ready and available for all your ENFOS users, and what would be a good use here. All right, let's go over to admin all the way to the bottom to tools and then operation log. Now, this is going to be one of my admin specific staff picks for today. And I think, this one and maybe the next one are probably specific to my administrators. After that, almost all of them apply to all of the users. But what we're going to do is look at this tools operation log. And this is a very, very cool page. And we get asked about this page, especially if our clients have auditors coming in and seeing, how ENFOS is used. So what this operation log page is showing me is the log of details of what's going on in ENFOS, right? It's showing us who's logging in and when, where their IP address is. It's showing us reports run. It's going to show us things about admin zaps. And, that's how we use this a lot at ENFOS is if something is deleted administratively, there's a log of it. And we can show the client and the clients, you can see this as well, if something's deleted. Now, of course, if something's deleted, they have to have the right permission on that, but this report helps us, verify who did those actions. Of course, we can download this report, but we can also filter this report. And when we filter the report, we can really kind of define what's going on. Maybe there's someone in particular I want to check. Let's check my own account here in the last day. And when I filter that data, it takes the same information we saw before, but it kind of strips out the other users, right? So it shows what I've been doing and what the access has been there in the last day. Really powerful. So this one is under the operations log. We have this same information under reporting. And there's not very many instances of this in ENFOS where we have information on one page and then it's also in the reporting. But this one we do, and there's a great reason for this. This log information report, it's under admin log information. It allows it to be scheduled and ran automatically. And we have some clients that have this report, they save it, they schedule it, and it gets sent to their auditors to prove, right, that things are getting recorded and the actions within the system are being done properly and matching the controls that are set in place. So it's a really powerful tool for our administrators. All right, let's talk about contacts. And we're going to stay kind of here in this admin thought process. And I'm going to provide a specific example, and I think everyone knows examples like this. And that's a contact replace. So, you may have your contacts at your site level, or your contacts in your plan, or your purchase order, or your invoice. And that person retires, and they leave the company, and now maybe you have an open purchase order. It was with someone previously, and now there's a new project manager managing this project. We could always, right, we can always close out that transaction and then create it new with the correct contacts, but that's a lot of work. And, here we are in the middle of the year, and, it may not make sense to do that right now. So we have a contact replace, and we have a couple of places where we have this contact replace. We have it under administrative tools and then updates. And my first item that I'm going to show is, we can do this in bulk. We can do our contact replace, and you can do it from any branch in your hierarchy. Maybe I want to replace my proposal contacts from one person to the next, and I can both test this and save this. And for any open transaction, this is going to replace those contacts. But what we found is, it's not always easy with the hierarchy scope, right? It's not always just one-to-one. You're not taking one person and replacing it with one other person. One person might be retiring and 4 or 5 people might be taking their projects. So, how do we have the same idea with replacing our contacts, but do it in bulk, right? And do it for different projects and split it out. And This is under our admin page as well. And we've got this tool, admin contact operation. Again, this is basically the same format of what we saw on that last page, but instead of doing it in the screen with drop-down menus, you're doing the same function with a file, right? With a CSV file, where you're replacing contacts in bulk. So it's really valuable, really powerful. Keep this in mind if you do have someone leaving a role and you need to replace them with someone else. All right, we talked a lot about administrative tools, and I think it really talks about ENFOS and us and how these tools can help you use the system, and they can be very powerful. We're gonna go over into the finance module, and we are going to talk through some options in our finance page. All right, so I am here at my project in St. Paul. And I'm going to go to the balance screen. And one of the suggestions that we had to share today was that we see updates in real time, right? And we see those on all of our financial pages. As soon as you approve an invoice, your purchase order balance goes down, your planning balance goes down, and you're going to see that on each one of your submodule pages. But I really like it on this balance page. And that's because it gives me a full summary, right? We can see our original estimate. This is our first plan. Any approved plan changes over time. Our life-to-date spending, that's our approved spending. And then the balance is just the math, right? We can see our open commitments, and these are open purchase orders. We see an allowed overcommitment. Some of our clients have, a overcommitment dollar amount or percentage, and they would see that there. Others have that disabled. And then we see our total available to commit into new purchase orders, as well as our total available to spend, right? Which would be any of our open purchase order amounts plus anything we can still commit. Now, that's up in the top section. In the bottom section, we see that same information in a grid, right? So it's the same numbers, but we see it here in our grid form. We also can download this information. Now, if I approve another purchase order right now for, $50,000, I'm going to see that updated immediately in this grid and on my purchase order pages. And these updates in real time, we hear this a lot for our clients that are in the implementation process or maybe our clients before you became clients, right? In the sales process, that before using ENFOS, it's hard to get this up-to-date balance information. So I think it's really important and really valuable that we show everyone and we remind everyone that it's here, it's available for you to see. The balance screen is great, but you can also see that up-to-date information on any of the other financial pages, like your purchase order or your invoice page. All right, let's talk a little bit about planning. And I'm going to go into the planning module, and we're going to talk about 3 tools in creating plans that make it easier for the users. They're all related to the plan grid, right? And that plan grid is where we enter our financial numbers. Some of these tools, like the last one we're going to talk about, cloning is available in both proposal as well. So, some of these tools and actions can apply, more than just the planning module. I've got an editing plan. And this is, just in the editing status, not approved. My previous plan was approved in 2016. Here we are, 2021. We've got a new plan. And I'm going to go to the grid. Great. So I've got an empty grid here. I've got, nothing in here, and I can just see what my actuals were for this year. I've got 2 buttons here, and I really like these 2 buttons. They're slightly different, and I'm going to show you these 2 buttons, and this is what we're going to talk about. Our first item is copy previous plan. And this copies over the previous plan's numbers as they were entered. And it copies it over from this period forward. You can see 2021 is my first year. So when I copy previous plan, this copies over what was in my plan from 2016 for the year 2021 and forward. So it's really great. It populated my whole grid. It entered in those numbers. And it allows me still to make edits, right? I can click in any of my cells and change any of this numbers. So we're going to look at 2021, and we can see that, this is 79,500, and my total is 287. That was with my copy previous plan. Copy plan balance, this works like roll forward. And for our clients that are using planning roll forward. But what's great about copy plan balance is it looks at the effective date that you entered on the previous screen, and it copies the balance cell by cell. So this means it might copy more or less in this first cell. And when I click that copy plan balance, you're going to see the grid updates. There we go. And my numbers change a little bit. My 2021 is larger, right? It's no longer 79,000, now it's 105, as well as my total is greater. And what that tells me is, from the previous years, I didn't spend all the money I thought I was going to. And so it rolled forward, and it's here in this 2021 cell, and this balance rolled forward. It's really powerful. This copy plan balance basically does the math for you. And it starts you off at this point and allows you to add in that additional money and those additional changes. And it's checking based off of that effective date, right? I know for our clients that use roll forward, that roll forward defaults to that first day of the period. This copy plan balance checks the effective date that you enter. So I'm going to toggle one more time. We'll go and click copy previous plan. So that takes me to what was entered exactly as it was entered in that previous plan, right? It does not take in any balance information, just what was entered. And when I click copy plan balance, that copies the balance from the previous plan into this plan. Any changes is going to go in that first cell. Now, of course, you may have some settings or configurations that are checking things like current year or by WBS, and both of those buttons absolutely take those settings and configurations and make sure that we check those to make these pages work. So two really powerful page links here on the planning grid to help your planning go a little quicker and a little easier. I'm going to talk about a third one, and it's very similar, but it has a bit more actions in it. I'm going to delete this, editing item because I'm going to replace it actually. Okay, we're back to our plan here in 2016. And under my actions, I've got the action to clone. And I'll see clone here on my planning page. I also see clone on my proposal page. And the clone function, for planning, I can pick any project where my settings would match. I'm going to stay here. What this does is it clones my plan exactly as it was entered previously. And it, just as before, allows me to make edits. So it saves me some clicks. I'm going to update my year. I could add in my comments. And when I go to the next page, instead of starting with that blank grid, I'm starting with my pre-populated grid. It's similar to that copy previous plan. But what's nice with the clone is that information on the summary page, it's cloning more of those details. So the clone is a really powerful tool as well. And if you're doing similar work or building off of previously created work, the clone helps save you a few clicks and a few steps. All right, let's keep on the finance module. And I'm going to go to the finance purchase order page. Now, everybody is used to, the top section here, the purchase order section. It has a lot of great information. But we think lower on the page is this underutilized section that we use a lot, and it's called the financial business process. And what this is a summary of our state event machine or how the financials work. okay? And it's really great if you're stuck. And admins, I can see you using this page. And I've got a great example we're gonna run through. So we're gonna look at an invoice, and we're gonna say, my invoice is stuck, it's in the rejected status. And what this page tells me is all of the actions I can take on an invoice in the rejected status. It shows me things like the user permissions that are required. It shows me what's going to happen if I can do that action successfully, or what happens if it fails. And this page is really helpful for us on the support side. It really helps us support your user questions as to, why is my invoice stuck, or what permission do I need to do this action? This page gives you a lot of that detail. And we have, unique pages for each one of the financials. So if I look at my rejected invoice here, I can see, let's say I want to submit my rejected invoice. My action is submit. Here's what ENFOS is checking, and some of the configurations. If it's successful, it goes into the reviewing status. And if it's not successful, it just stays in that rejected status. And there's lots of different scenarios. We identify different use cases as well as different statuses and different types along the way. There's a ton of information on this page, and it's really, really great to show, where your transaction can kind of go from here. It's in this status. What can I do from this point forward? And, I wanted to remind the administrators, we're not going to look at it at this point, but there are tools to move the financials along if they are stuck. So, always feel free to contact us on that. All right, so let's look at this page. And I want to talk about tax setup. And I'm only going to briefly talk about this, but I did want to show a screenshot of some tax setup and configuration. This is from the invoicing page and the invoicing details page in particular. And this is lower on the page. And if it's configured, you can have a tax section set up on your invoice details page, which shows one or many tax types. Those tax types can have tax codes associated with them behind the scenes. And ENFOS can send the general ledger these tax amounts to that general ledger. We can also receive paid amounts on tax. And based off of the configuration you decide, that tax type information can make it so it does not reduce your planning and your purchase order balance. And that's typical to what we see in Canada and Europe, where the tax amount does not reduce the purchase order or planning balance because it's not planned for. So, we've got a lot of documentation on tax. We've got a lot of settings and configurations. You can see in this example, I have both a GST and an HST tax amount. If you think you are interested in setting tax up in ENFOS, contact us. We've learned a lot. We've built a lot of functionality, and it's really great. And we'd be happy to help you set it up and configure it in your system. Okay, let's go back into ENFOS for a few more items. We're going to talk about something that we talked about just briefly. I'm just going to touch on this in our last webinar. And this is the PM desktop. You can see how much we really love this page. It's a great kind of one pager for really your site or your project. And it gives a summary of all the different modules based off of your user permission. Right here, I'm looking at some project summary information, documents, financials, etc. There's a detailed description of this page in that site module webinar. So if you are interested in this page, definitely watch that webinar and this section. It shows a lot of information on it. But what's so nice about this page is it's a risk-free page, right? It's just really like a reporting output, a one-pager at this project or at this site. Go ahead and navigate here and play around with what's available. Take a look, and I think you're going to like it. I think it shows a lot of great information together. Again, saving you some clicks, right? Instead of going to the site summary page and then the planning balance page and then to the invoice page, you've got it all together on a single page. All right, our last section for today, and we've got two last items here, is the reporting module. Now, we've done a couple of reporting webinars, right, where we get really in depth on all of the steps and some functionality on the webinar, on the reporting pages. We are just going to talk about 2 reports right now, but of course, there are many reports. You all know this. There's a lot of functionality here, and feel free to use it. The first thing we're going to talk about is our map report. Now, I'm going to stay in step 1 for this whole item. This whole staff pick here is all done in step 1. And you can see we've got our 3 radio buttons, and I've selected a portfolio. And I did that kind of before this webinar, but it is a portfolio for the United States. And it's just as you think, right? It's sites in the United States. And if you set up a portfolio with some geolocation attribute in it, right? Like I have mine here in the United States. I know all my sites and projects are geocoded. What you're going to see is a little link right here in the middle, and it's going to say map. And you're not going to see this always, right? You don't see this if you select some of the other options, but if you select a portfolio that's geocoded, you're going to see the map option. And this is really cool. It's so easy. It's so straightforward. When I click that, I get a map, right? And I can see all of my sites here in the United States. So quick, so easy. And it's really, really, really great to check my data, right? So I set up a portfolio in the United States. If I ran this report and I had a site marker over in Europe, I would immediately know something's not set up correctly, right? And chances are it's that geocoded information. So, if I click on Salt Lake City, I can see the information here as well as the latitude and longitude. So what's nice about this is even before I run a report, I see my sites and projects where they are. And if something's on the wrong area in your map, it really stands out and it lets you know that your geocoded information is incorrect and you've got to go back and correct that. So we love this. I think it shows really well also, right? I can say, here's my portfolio right here. Here's my sites in the United States. So again, this is right all in step 1. I created a portfolio with my hierarchy base, and my sites are geocoded, and then I have my map link, and it opens it up right in a map. We're going to do another map report. This one I'm going to go through all of my steps. All right, so instead of doing just the United States, I'm going to use my hierarchy branch here, and I'm going to do all of North America and below. So, I'm going to expand, not just the United States, but all of North America. And we're going to select a specific report, and I think you're going to like this report. I'm going to financial planning and financial performance. And this is a note for my admins. As I was preparing for this webinar, this report was turned off for me. So, if you don't see this report, admins, be sure to go to your report settings. Make sure you've got the checkbox to turn this report on. So that's one step I had to do before the webinar. So financial performance is turned on. I set up very basic report criteria, right? Really, I just want to see report information from January 2020 forward. And you can see when I have a map option, I get a third option in my report criteria and customization. My third option here is map customization. And what this does is it lets me define what I want to see in my map output. So I entered this information. You can pull a lot of the columns from this report to show in a map output. And I defined the dollar thresholds here and the colors, but I put 0 to 10,000 as blue, 10,000 to 25,000 as green, and then 25,000 and above as red for my spend, right, for 2020 forward. Okay, so North America, my financial performance report, we're going to run it and see our spend. Now, step 4, this is my last step, and I'm going to select the last option, which is map report. I'm going to run this report output in the map, and you can see I've got some different colors. If I scroll in just a bit, there we are, scroll in a bit here in the United States, I can see I've got my 3 different colors, right? I can see that Sacramento's in red, Carson City is in green, right in the middle, and here, we'll go over to Boise in blue. If I click on any of my map icons, I see my spend. I see that information shown here. I see that my Boise spend is only 6,000, which is why we're seeing it in blue correctly. And, I can scroll through and keep looking at all of my points on my map and checking what my spend is. So it's really cool, right? It's functionality that is available today. You can use this in your outputs and, see the information graphically displayed on the map based off of the thresholds that you enter. All right. That's it. Those are our staff picks. I think I counted 13 staff picks we had for you today. And you've got all of it documented in the handout. So I am going to roll it over to Andrea. Andrea, we're going to see if there's any questions and go from there.
Hi, yeah, we do have a couple of questions that came in. Going back to copy plan balance, Torrie, I'm not sure if you can go back to that plan we were looking at. We wanted to know where a certain figure came from, 105,847.
Yeah, no problem. I can show that. All right. Excellent. Here we are, back at St. Paul. My plan that is effective is my lowest plan on the page. That one's effective on January 1st, 2016. And if I click on that ID, I can see my total plan balance here. My plan balance is $296,056.22. And I don't see that information broken out in the grid. I can see that, we've planned money from 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. We've also spent money in each one of those years. Now, based off of these settings and configurations, they don't have to match, right? I know we're doing full plan amount, not each year. But, each of these years, we might be over or under slightly. So if I look at 2016, we spent $60,193.14, but we planned $65,250. So we planned a little more than what we spent. So each one of those years have a balance, right? A little above or a little below. All of that money then rolls forward when we do copy plan balance into our current year, and we add it to what's already there. So we've got 79,500, and I think you had said when we did the balance, it goes to 105,847. The difference there, that increase, the difference between 105 and 79 is that balance, that unspent money for each of these years before my 2021 year. So without getting into an Excel grid and doing the math, it does copy it over. I guess you'll have to trust me, but I'd say use your ENFOS system. You know it, you know your numbers. When you do that copy plan balance, it's going to copy over that money exactly. What's also nice about copy plan balance, let's go back here. And we'll click that copy plan balance button. I'm going to go through a little quickly here. Copy plan balance, there we go. When I save this and I come back and I look at my page, my adjustment for approval is 0. I'm not asking for any more money compared to what my plan was in 2016. Really, at this point, I'm just rolling it forward and it's changing my effective date. Now, if I was in my editing grid, I added $5,000, I'd see my adjustment there is 5,000. So it's a great way, that copy plan balance, to kind of start at zero, right? Start at a zero adjustment and move forward from there. So hopefully that helps.
Thanks, Torrie. One more question. How do we load the map report if a user is not seeing that option in their queue?
Okay. Great question. Let's go to reporting. So what I think the question is saying is, I don't see the financial performance report. Now, this report does check user permissions, so it could be that you don't have access to all the information required based off of your user permissions. That could be part one of why you don't see it. Part two, though, maybe you do have full permissions. Maybe you do have full access. We have to make sure this report is enabled. And I'm going to go to do that. We've got admin and report setting. This is where you can, the administrators can enable and disable all reports in the system, and you can also rename your reports. And maybe you really hate the name of one of your reports, go ahead and rename it. What we do is down here under finance, actually financial spend. Let me start over. Under financial planning, here we see it, financial performance. If the checkbox is unchecked, you're not going to see that report. So be sure to make the checkbox, make sure it's blue, be sure it has a name. If not, copy it over or give it a name. Let's see, at the bottom of the page, there's a save. So make sure to click save at the bottom of the page, and then you're going to see that report on your screen. Now, a lot of your reports are enabled already, but every once in a while, maybe one's disabled, or maybe it was disabled at some point and never turned back on. So that's always a good double check. And you might see what I'm showing on my screen. The name of the report might be slightly different. I might show AOC summary. You might see project summary. So the admins can use that page to rename those reports if they want to. All right, Andrea, anything else?
No, that seems to be all we have for today.
Excellent. Everyone, thank you so much. We are really happy to share this webinar with you and some of our favorite functionality. We appreciate everyone's time today. We are going to end the webinar, and take care.